Every skate trick is a very short story, starting with the exposition, moving on to the rising action, reaching a climax, and then the action begins to fall, leading finally into the conclusion. The point of a skate photo is to tell that story through photography. There are two common ways to do this, either with a single frame image or through a sequence, both having their own pros and cons. In its best case, a single frame image is a finely crafted photograph, utilizing the best composition, lighting, stylistic choices, and more to capture a skate trick as best as possible through one frame to show the viewer the single best moment that happened during that story. In this case, the photographer is showing the viewer the climax of the story and asking the viewer to assume how the story began and how it will end. Opposite of that is the sequence, which in most cases trades off the single frame choices that perfectly highlight the climax of the story for the return of the ability to properly tell the whole story. This gives the viewer everything and makes it so that they can see all those points in the story that matter, and in some cases are necessary for showing them more technical tricks that simply cannot be explained through a single frame. Traditionally, the strength of a sequence has always been to tell more of the story than a single frame can. But in the last decade, sequences have lost a special place they once held. Most tricks now can easily be seen through video on Instagram or online, which is even better at telling the story than a sequence is, and sequences already gave up the strength of a finely crafted photograph in their goal to tell more of the story. So what is it that they can offer in this current era where video is so accessible that their niche of telling more of the story has become obsolete? Well, sequences have another characteristic that makes them unique. They are collages. To adapt to the changing landscape of skate media, the format needs to stop being used solely as a way to tell more story through photographs and focus on being a collection of images. A sequence doesn't have to be stuck in a grid. There is so much potential in collages. Just look at how popular the style is on Instagram right now. And this isn't to say that no one makes creative sequences. There's many examples of what can be done with them from the current era of skate photography as well as back in its history. There are single frame sequences, which are great at presenting both the story of the sequence while also remaining large in scale like single images, but in doing so they leave the creative potential on the table, and when done poorly can contain so much overlapping information that they become confusing. I think they do very well overall, but sequences can still be pushed even further than what this style is able to accomplish. My all-time favorite example of that is this sequence of Brian Lottie. It's so different and unique precisely because it doesn't try to be a single image or video clip. It focuses entirely on being a collage of images and presenting the story of those images in a creative but also easy to understand way. A minimalist style presents the frames segmented into these windows that only let you see parts of the story, but specifically the parts that matter. It starts with these tight boxes surrounding the face and feet to tell you who it is and where their feet are. The exposition. An arrow comes from the box and follows a line to the next window, showing the rising action of Lottie popping his backside flip. The line then continues throughout the sequence, leading our eyes in this S shape from one frame to another as the story is told, until you reach the conclusion at the end of the line. This is an example of a uniquely sequence-oriented creation that couldn't be done or would be too difficult to understand through a single image or video. This is an example of a photographer utilizing the strengths of what a sequence is to tell the story of a trick through a collage of images. Another, far more recent example is this Matt Price shot of Guy Mariano. A few techniques are used here that initially fool you into thinking it's a simple grid, but there's a lot more going on under the hood. First, the sequence starts in the bottom right corner and follows Guy's boneless 360 in a circular path back to the beginning, which is a great way to lead the eyes of the viewer not only in seeing the story told, but also in flowing with the actual motion of the trick as well. Secondly, he blends the frames in this incredibly interesting way which overlaps each frame, but also lets Guy's body and board cut back into previous frames, creating an opposite overlap. It lets the frames of Guy become a series of images placed on top of the frames of the background, opposed to each frame being an individual image alongside the others. This is another incredible example of just how much potential lies within the collage characteristics of sequences.
Oh, and as a side note, in this post of this sequence that we're talking about right now, Matt mentions doing an entire golden hour full of sequences. Please, Matt, the people want it. Let's just put that out into the open. Everybody wants that. Give us that, please. Also, thanks for watching.
To conclude, don't count out the sequence as a boring gray zone between single images and video. Think outside the grid. It is its own creative opportunity to present the story of a trick through a collage of images. Look for inspiration in new and old sequences that push the boundaries. Look at artists and art movements outside of skateboarding that utilize collage in interesting and exciting ways and adapt those techniques and styles to create sequences. Let's take back the sequence as a creative tool and push skate photography with it. This has been Alex with Loose Trucks. Thank you for watching. As I was doing my research for this video, I found a few more sequences that I really liked but couldn't really find a place for in the video. I just didn't want to be too overbearing with a bunch of older images. And also, since I don't have a scanner, it's a lot easier to use the Chromeball Incident for finding all my images. So, one, shout out Chromeball. You kind of made this video happen. There's no way I would have had like 3/4 or even more of the content that I had for this video if it wasn't for you, so thank you. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll have some more video essays coming out soon, more tutorials coming out soon. I just want to keep on making videos for this channel and pushing out a lot of ideas. I've got a ton of things that I want to talk about. Will I make a video about it? I don't know. We'll find out. Let me know if you want to see anything in the comments. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you later.